All right, hey guys, we got a blower motor that isn't operating correctly. It's going, and we got it going by flicking it, but you can hear that it's going really, really slow. So we have an old board here with the clear relays. Trey here had a great idea. We're gonna go ahead and trade this out for a new board since we got to take this out and replace this blower motor anyways. So we're just going to do a quick video to show you how to do that. So first step, I'm going to disconnect everything. The power is disconnected here. We'll also disconnect it at the breaker. And we'll get this stuff pulled out and disconnected. All right, guys. So anytime you're taking something off with a bunch of wires, take multiple pictures of it. I don't care how long you've been doing it. It's always best practice to do that. So we got it off. We got to move this out of our way. So there's two screws on the top here. There's one here, one here. We're going to take those loose. And that will allow this box to move. So that box is now loose. So down here, you can see we got 3 wires here. Again, it's always best practice to take pictures of stuff like this. I know C is common and it's marked there, but you got 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to disconnect those. So this has a little spot right here that you can put your pliers on and it'll release it so it'll come out. That way you're clear. Now we'll show you inside the box here. You can see you got a screw on each side. You got to take those 2 bolts out, and then it's actually sitting in a track, and then after you get those 2 bolts out, you can slide the whole thing out. All right, so we have this out. I wanted to show you guys. So these fins right here, they're cupped. So they're kind of cupped like this. Well, over time they get dirt buildup on them, and instead of it being a C shape, it starts to actually turn flat with the dust in it. So it's not going to push air as well as it should. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean that out. We're going to take this motor out. Right here, it's just 3 bolts there. And then you have right here a set screw that will loosen. That motor will drop out, and then we can actually clean this cage. So we're going to do that. All right, so we got the motor out. I want to clean this squirrel cage. So I don't need to clean the entire thing, and it'd make a huge mess trying to do that. So there's 2 screws that hold this plate on. So I'm going to take that off. Now these 2 screws I'm just going to take them out. Now take that out. Just dump any excess debris out. Set this aside. Now we can clean all these fins. You can kind of see, I don't know if that's a better picture, all the debris and dirt inside there. So I'm just going to dry brush it, see how much I can get knocked out before getting it all wet. Dry brushed it. We got all that gunk out. Now I'm just going to rinse it off here. You don't have to get this perfect. The main goal is to clean those fins out. So we're just going to rinse this off. Once we get it rinsed off, I'll pat it dry, and then we'll go to the install. So now we're going to put this back in. When you put this back in, your electrical wires go over here, so that means this goes out that way. We'll drop that in, and then we're going to reattach this plate. Two short screws go in the back. Leave those loose. And put the two long screws in. Keep it rolling. Tighten everything up. And now we're ready to get the new motor prepped. So you got to take this off to put it on the new motor. And it's just, a matter of loosening that bolt. And when you get that loose, these legs are going to fall out. But that's fine. We're going to save this because I want these ends. So this motor's a little bit wider. So it's going to spin. It's just going to fight me. All right, so what you can do to know depth, so you see the imprint left on this. So when you go to set it on this one, you want to set it about the same depth-wise. So that's what I'm going to do. And then these are going to go like this. If you go like this, then that means that shaft's going to be pointing out instead of in. So this part can kind of be a little cantankerous because you got to hold all these in and tighten it at the same time. So we're going to pause here. Okay, so we could go through the process of cutting, stripping these, wire nutting them, reinserting these into here, putting them on the blower, and then hooking them in. Either way you go, you're going to have to wire nut wires here. So we're not going to do this. So what we are going to do is, so down here, we only have 3 wires. Okay, you got your black, white, and red. Red is a speed. If you look on the new motor, it's got a wiring diagram on it. So red and blue is for low and medium speed, black is high, white is common. So the ones we're going to use is high and medium. We're not going to use red. So what we're going to do with red is we're going to take this, get some electrical tape, cut the exposed end off, because this will still have power to it whether we use it or not. So we're just going to tape it off. Alright, so now we got to put the motor back into the squirrel cage. Okay, so now we're going to put the blower motor back in. We'll line our holes up. All I would do is get them started because sometimes they don't always line up very easy. Being a little cantankerous. There we go. All right, so this is a ground screw. We can put this over here on this 1/4 inch screw right here. So my wires, they always come pre-stripped. I like to strip them a little bit more, that way I have more wire to bite onto. So the next step is to slide this into place. Well, actually, we're going to set this first. Then we'll slide it. All right, so this is where you may need to play with it. But you don't know till you get the motor set. You can try and get it set exactly like the other one was, where we said that band needs to set a certain way. We had that band set a certain way, but as you can see, we're rubbing a little bit. Sometimes you got enough room that you can get this that way some on the shaft, but if we can't, then that means that we got to adjust the motor on the bracket. I don't think it's going to budge. So what I'm trying to do is see if this is all the way down onto the shaft. I think it is. So what we're going to do is we're going to loosen this bolt that holds this. We're going to have to pull this motor this way. So we'll do that in the meantime. All right, so we adjusted it, the motor. So now we have plenty of room here, plenty of play. So the set screw and the hole that it goes into, you want that flat part of the motor shaft to line up with that. And when you're doing this, you don't want it all the way down or all the way up, because it's going to rub. So you want to find a good middle ground. Get that set screw in there, just hand tight it, and then move it. If you don't hear anything, then you should be good to go. And what you do is just tighten that up, and then you can give it a final spin, because a lot of times you won't hear nothing this way, but when you set it in the position it's going to set upright is when you'll hear it. So we sound good. So now we're going to put it, slide it back down in here. So let me do this. I'm going to show you guys the track. So right there is the track that the edge slides into. So this edge piece right here slides all the way in. get this lined up. So we got that lined up. Grab our 2 5/16 screws. Just gonna re-secure it. You want this tight too, because if you don't, it'll vibrate and then you'll get people complaining about a noise. You'll have to come back and do it anyways. All right. So we got our wires here for the blower motor. We're going to go ahead and reattach this. So these are the 1/4" screws. Okay, and then we're going to get the board. We're going to reinstall this board. And what we're going to do is take the white wire, we're going to cut and strip this back and wire nut it. And then we're going to take the blue wire, we're going to cut and strip back this red one. And then the black to black. So let's mount the board first. Let's put this like all right, so we're gonna put this back through here. All right. And now we're just gonna reattach our wires. These are the transformer wires. I'm gonna go on SEC1. SEC2. We got our common, which is our white. Line 1, line 2. Primary transformer wire. We got our low speed, or we're using medium, and then we got high. And then we're gonna review and see which ones these go to. And we reviewed it. Picture to determine, reconfirm these wires are all placed properly. And now we got our thermostat wires to install. So this board, they go in straight. So we're going to straighten these out. So you got white, red, GH. And then you're gonna have common and then yellow. And the yellow, so this goes to your AC. So common will feed this, and then when a thermostat calls for cool, it'll activate this, which will pull the contactor in. We'll do the tug test. Make sure everything's good. Now what we're going to do is strip these. Now we just got to wire nut these together. So we'll do white with white. The one thing about HVAC is color coding does not always matter. A lot of people will get thrown off, especially if you get into like heat pumps. You have to know what the wire does. If you just try to wire everything color to color, then you'll end up messing up. So we know the blue is our medium speed, and we got the red going to our low on the board. And then we'll go black. I need to get new ones.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit. And then what you can do is for like extra measure and to keep stuff tidy, just take some tape. Kind of tie everything together. That way it's out of our way. All right, you want to turn the power on. Turn the power on and we'll give her a test. So once the limit switch senses that the heat exchanger's hot enough, they'll kick the fan on. Alright, fan kicked on. Sounds good and strong. So we're good to go. Thanks, guys.